warm August night at Wrigley.
Oh my gosh, now we've got a downpour.
This is not easy to get the tarp on.
You tell me they're in August right now, they can't figure out how to put a tarp on?
Got caught where the rain came down hard, and all of a sudden that tarp gets extremely heavy.
Their team is leading. You think they wouldn't be thinking that at any point?
They didn't necessarily hustle.
That game will be completed starting at 4 o'clock local time.
What happens when we're him?
Yes, I dragged that out of Darryl Hamilton. Some truth out of Darryl Hamilton. It's about time. Joining us now from the San Francisco Chronicle. He's at Wrigley Field there where, oh, I see threatening skies. That's bad. John Shea joins us now. John, welcome to MLB Now.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys. We have 14 more innings. Hold your breath.
Yeah, look, I would figure Bruce Bochy has to be thrilled because you hear about, oh, they're going to file a protest, and we know that gets, filed immediately in the garbage can. This one wasn't. Major League Baseball heard it, and they somehow came up with a mechanical issue that fit the bill, and now they're going to play this game this afternoon. What are the Giants' thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was so ready to write another protest rejected story, and it's amazing. We haven't seen a protest go through since 1986. The Giants haven't won one of these since the 40s, and in the past year, teams were 0 for 8. Baseball just listens to the umpires or sides with them, or else looks at the game situation and says, well, that had no reason to no outcome difference with the game at all. So they've just rejected these over and over and over. But the Giants were tickled yesterday. They learned shortly before the game that suddenly they're not down 0-1 in the series. And Jake Peavy went out. He was telling people that, hey, let's go for the sweep. And guys were thinking, Travis Ishikawa even said, what, because there are 2 games tomorrow. He was wondering if yesterday's game was rained out as well. But everybody finally learned that Tuesday's game will be played tonight from the 5th inning on. And there seemed to be a lot more energy with that Giants lineup yesterday. They scored 4 runs in the first inning and won easily 8-3. And it was Peavy's best game as a Giant.
John, I see the skies are somewhat threatening. Now, as baseball writers, we have to be medical experts, labor experts, economic experts. I am wondering, have you inspected the tarp, specifically the wrapping and spooling?
Yes.
I don't believe there will be another malfunction with the cylinder that the tarp is wrapped around, and that you could take that to the bank. The president, the GM, they're going to be on this grounds crew to make it right this time. Yeah, it's been raining on and off today. It's supposed to clear up by game time. Maybe in the second game we'll have some showers. But the Giants and Cubs have 14 innings scheduled. This is the Giants' last trip in, and tomorrow is the finale of the series. So they're not coming back anytime soon. So they really want to get this one in. It was really kind of embarrassment all the way around from from the Cubs side to Major League Baseball side. And the good news is the Cubs were aboard, and they were all for playing this game from the 5th inning on. And so that's really what helped the Giants' cause.
John, Darryl Hamilton here. Is this one of those things that could get this Giants team going? Because you talk about Jake Peavy being excited the fact that they get to continue this game. This team has been up and down the entire season. This may be something that comes around to ignite them and get them going again.
Yeah, Darryl, it was unbelievable. This really is an up-and-down season. They were 42-21, 63 games into the season. That was the best start since the World Series team of '62. And from there, they've been playing 13 games under 500. And they've been very fortunate to stick in this race. They're 3 games behind the Dodgers. They're in a wild card position. They're not really looking at that right now, obviously, because the Dodgers, with their rotation, kind of in a shambles, and the Giants, despite all of this, and despite the alleged loss in Game 1 of this series, which was protested, they've actually won 3 in a row. And I just don't remember these. So much has gone on in the last 48 hours here. But the Giants come into this game with a 3-game win streak, and all cylinders were running yesterday. And the offense, the defense, and it was working for them. And the rotation, it's all about the rotation. If you remember 2010, 2012. They won those World Series because the rotation got hot at the right time, and that's what they're looking for now.
Yeah, hey, John, it's Joe Lemire here. I was hoping you'd have a green screen forecast for us, but we'll settle with what you gave us. As the season's kind of winding down, we're seeing how well Pablo Sandoval has played since Memorial Day. He's been great. Obviously, we're always looking forward. What do you see as the future for him? Does he come back?
Well, if I were a betting man, I would say no. I think he's playing so well, kind of a curious situation. He might be playing his way off the team. He's playing so well. Since the May 7th, he's actually been hitting .320. His OPS is as good as it's been in his best years, and he's been the most consistent Giant since then. He happens to be in a walk year. He's in great shape. Defensively, Bruce Bochy no longer takes him out of the game in defensive switches. He plays all 9. This is the best he's looked in a few years, and he's doing it at the right time. I just think with the Giants' payroll, $121 million, they owe 11 players next year, and it was about 150 overall this year. They've really got to move north of 160 to fit Sandoval in next year. And I just think that, you know, it has to be a meeting of the minds, because a lot of teams are going to want to give him Hunter Pence money, which is $90 million over 5. And if you remember last year, Pence earned that contract because he had such a good year and because he was so strong at the end. And it looks like Pablo Sandoval might be on that same path.
Yeah, he's a tough call. John Shea joining us, San Francisco Chronicle. John, stay dry. Enjoy a game and a half of baseball out there. Thank you.
I can't wait. Ernie Banks says, let's play 1.5, right?
That's it. John, thank you, man. We'll talk to you soon. John Shea there at Wrigley Field. Again, we see the clouds behind him, foreboding clouds. Sandoval's a tough call because he hasn't hit for all-star power in a few years, and yet he is still pretty young. We put the OPS plus leaders of the last 5 years. He's still fairly productive. He can field his position. So I don't know. Maybe he is worth $100 million. I don't know.
You have to know your players. And the Giants should know Sandoval as well as anyone, whether he would go back to what he was before with the weight problems if they gave him the money, or whether they feel he is ready to take the next step forward in his career and become this kind of consistent guy year after year. That's a tough call because they've seen him go up and down with that particular issue. So the other thing that comes to mind here, actually 2 things. One, they generally keep their players.
Yeah.
Pence was a great example of that.
They don't mind paying.
They don't mind paying, and that's what they do. And the other thing is, okay, you let him go because he's too expensive. Who replaces him?
And that's exactly right. I mean, he's 28 years old, which, you know, adds to the incentive for the Giants to hold on to him for a number of years. And you look at the free agent third baseman, you know, Chase Headley. I mean, how much confidence do you have that he can get back to where he was a few years ago and get past where Sandoval is doing now? Aramis Ramirez has a mutual option, but beyond the 2 of them, there really aren't that many, you know, great options, at least not Sandoval-type options.
Casey McGee is probably the only other option there, but, I mean, you're looking at probably 2 guys who could come in and do some damage, but you're right, they keep their own. And I would be a little surprised if they did not go after him. I mean, you look at since June 10th, he's hit .321. I mean, he's been on fire, and, you know, 30 RBIs, 18 extra base hits. I find it difficult to say that he's played so well that he's playing his way out of San Francisco. That's hard to swallow, because you would think a guy who plays as well as he has, he should stay there. And I'm sure he wants to stay there, but you made a great point, Kenny. Is this a guy who you give that kind of money to? What will he do? Will he sit back and keep working hard, or will the weight problems come into effect again? I don't know. I'm sure the Giants understand that big question better than we do.
Hey, quickly on this, the Giants are 1 game behind the Dodgers in the loss column right now. 1 back. Now, they're 3 back overall, but just ready to go with loss column. They're just 1 back. Should we be thinking the Giants can overtake this division?
Yes, given the Dodgers' injury problems right now. And, Brian, I cannot get out of my head what I saw from the Giants in the first month. We just had a debate. Best team in baseball. In the first month of the season, maybe the first 6 weeks, the Giants might have been that team. They had everything going. Now, granted, Kane is out. They've lost Pagan for a time. He's back now. Belt is still out. They've got the second base issue. There are a lot of issues there. But at the same time, I don't see them as a team that has lost it. They're a team that just had some things go amiss, and maybe now, who knows, maybe this wacky series in Chicago can ignite them. I don't know. But this is a team that is better than it has showed over the last couple of months.
You know what? One last thing for you, Ken Rosenthal. Do groundskeepers tank the tarp?
Here's my question for you, Brian Kenny. What was the advanced metrics on the tarp situation the other night? The length of time it took?
I don't know. How long did it take?
I don't know, but it was not good in advanced metrics or in traditional old school stats.
I sense, without having an advanced metrics, I sense some passive-aggressive behavior right here with these guys. Hold on, everybody. What are you holding on for?
No, that's the spooling issue. They couldn't have unspooled
it. Oh, my God,
because
yes,
of
it's so complicated. Look, we all have, like, a hose at the house, and when you don't roll it up, it's a little tougher, but it still comes out. Come on. Look at those guys. Oh, God.
Well, we talked about this last night, the fact that a lot of people don't understand if there's a shares meeting at the end of the season when a team wins, the groundskeepers, they get a full share.
They get a share?
One guy gets a full share.
And the players vote on the cash for the groundskeepers.
They vote on the groundskeepers.
That's a smoking gun, Mr. Kennedy.
Right there.
As we know, humans react to incentives, and now you've completed.
Hold on, here's the flaw in that theory. Are the Cubs making the postseason?
Right, you know what? You think the groundskeepers are thinking of like Theo? You know what? We got to think draft slot here. If they're thinking like that, more power to them.
Remember a couple years ago when they tried to help us out on the field? Let's take care of them now. Huh? That goes back to 2017.
Let's get to the Nationals. Let's get to the
brutal. After a 4-hour, 34-minute delay on Tuesday, the suspended game was delayed another hour 57. We're talking over 6 hours. Top 9, now or never for the Giants. That is Angel Pagan, all the waiting, and then a loss. Yikes. Cubs win it 2-1. So, in Game 2, they need a break. Buster Posey's been dealing with a hip injury. He looks okay. He looks healed, right? 4 for 4 with a walk for Posey. Giants win it 5-3. John Shea, live in D.C. Enough with the delays after that Game 2 win. Relief, yes?
Absolutely, absolutely. You don't usually lose the first game of a series and wake up the next morning and talk about a sweep. But that's what it was for the Giants this week in Chicago, because the first game was protested. They won the Wednesday game, so then they woke up Thursday and said, hey, instead of losing the first game, let's win all 3. So the first game was resumed early Thursday. They actually lost 2-1, and then they finished off the series with a big win last night. And so winning 2 out of 3, considering how that thing started and all those hours of delay, was pretty good for a team that has designs on catching the Dodgers in the West.
Yeah, they'll take it. Buster Posey, 4 for 4. We saw the highlight right there. Is he 100% right now?
Oh, I don't know if anybody's 100%, especially Buster Posey. He caught 14 innings yesterday, but you know what? He's as good as he's going to be, and that's going to be pretty good for this team. I mean, he caught 14 innings. He sat out Wednesday with a hip ailment and then came back yesterday. He spent almost the whole day Wednesday with the trainer, Dave Greshner. And Posey said, when that happens, when I spend a lot of time treating that hip, I usually respond well, and he certainly did with the 4 hits. By the way, a home run, 2 doubles, and a walk, and his home run kind of decided things, broke a tie. So I think that when he's healthy, as he is now, he's pretty darn good. And he was a little bit revealing yesterday, saying that the hip has been bothering him on and off this season, and even before this season.
That's an August answer, as good as he's going to be, right? John Shea, live in D.C.
Let's go to Greg Brown right now in Milwaukee.
D.C. for John Shea. Tell me, how did Matt Williams' early playing career help him manage Bryce Harper better?
You know, it's a great question. I compare this Bryce Harper story to the Matt Williams story. I covered Williams in the late 80s when he broke in with the Giants, and there are similarities. You know, he really struggled offensively. In fact, over 3 years, he never played more than 84 games. Over all those first 3 years, he hit only 198. Well, in year 4, in 1990, he led the league in RBI, so he really turned his career around. He played for a hard-nosed general manager, Al Rosen, a former third baseman himself. So, you know, 25 years later, he's looking at Bryce Harper, and there's talk of sending him down to the minors. And Matt Williams looking back at his career, and there's no way he wants this kid to go through what Williams did all those years later. Granted, Harper hitting a lot better than Williams did in those first 3 years. But, you know, it's a big reason, I think, why, you know, he really supports him, really stands behind him, and sort of took it to the media that day when he said, there's no way this kid's going down to the minors. And ever since he said that, Bryce Harper's really been hitting big time.
Ebbs and flows. Everyone has him. John Shea, live in D.C. Thanks.
Let's go to an